Hello, I'm Christopher J. Thompson, and welcome to another edition of Movie Time. Alright, I'm excited about this one. I'm going to review Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, so Spider-Man Homecoming is the latest Spider-Man movie and stars Tom Holland as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. It also stars Michael Keaton as Eugene Toomes, aka the Vulture, and something I think was a bad choice is Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. Hey, I like Marissa Tomei. She's a good actress, but she's far too young for the role. First of all, Aunt May's supposed to be like 80 and kind of like more like the Crypt Keeper than Marissa Tomei. And they had a perfect woman. She didn't look like the Crypt Keeper, but let's keep it real. Okay, they had on the old Spider-Mans, the Tobey Maguire ones. The woman they got to play Aunt May was perfect. And this one, Marissa Tomei's like barely 50 something, maybe in her 50s. Aunt May's supposed to be like really old, like 80, and not hot. And like even the last movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they had Sally Fields, who's a bit older, but even her, she's too good looking for the part. She was like, because Aunt May was your average granny, what you think of as the classic grandma look. Neither of these women had it, especially not Marissa Tomei. And that's about probably one of the only things I really have to complain about in this movie. I thought it was really well done. In Homecoming, it's Homecoming because it's a new movie and it's the homecoming of Spider-Man, but it's also homecoming at his school, the parades, the homecoming dance, all that stuff. And it brings us back to, high school memories. Some of us have bad ones, some they don't, it's the classic things like, detention, classes, the pretty girl that you see for the first time, the bully that makes fun of you, your good friends, and then that awkward moment when you realize that your homecoming date's father is a supervillain. Yes. Okay, so in this movie, Michael Keaton plays Eugene Toomes, who is known as the Vulture, and in the beginning of the movie, we get a little trouble. Well, first, before it gets to him, this shows little video clips that Peter Parker did when he was meeting the Avengers and Tony Stark and stuff. So he had this camera, and you get a little bit of tidbits and a little bit of refreshers of what happened in his first appearance as Spider-Man in the Captain America Civil War. So we got that, and then we go and they show. I don't remember if that happened after or before or after we met Eugene Toomes. Okay, well, the Eugene Toomes story in this movie, basically, he was working as he had a big contract for cleaning up scrapping everything from the alien invasion in the first Avengers movie, right? So it goes back to there, and they've got a contract, and they're cleaning up the mess until government officials come and tell them that they don't have a job anymore because the government's taken it over, and it's run by Tony Stark in the Avengers, who caused the big mess in the first place. So he gets a little bit angry, and so what they do is they keep the junk that they had left over from the scrap that they had from the alien stuff, and decided to make interesting things out of weapons and stuff, which they would then in turn sell on the black market, because this guy, he had this big deal. These guys are working on, they were going to have this big job, and then they had no job, so they turn to a life of crime, and they don't care, they're just selling weapons, but they're selling it to bad people. And Eugene Toomes makes this awesome, like, wing rig, and he's also got like a suit armor that goes on it, and that's how he becomes the Vulture. And it's cool. It's because they did the Vulture the way they did the Green Goblin and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series, and it looks really cool. And I had forgotten. Okay, ever since '89 when the Batman movie came out and we had Michael Keaton as Batman, it locked him in my head as Batman as a hero, and I forgot how just awesome a villain Michael Keaton makes. This was a guy that one time didn't understand why they wanted him to play Batman because he was Mr. Mom, because he didn't realize that just because he's funny doesn't mean he's not. It's harder to be funny than it's hard to be dramatic, and that's why a lot of comedians end up, like Jim Carrey, end up being awesome, just awesome actors when it comes to drama. They become awesome dramatic actors, and he's an example of that. Okay, so we got this story, and that's why Eugene Toomes becomes this way, and he's not really a bad guy. He's just doing something bad to try to keep money going, to try to keep his family with money, and so they don't have to want, So this goes on, and obviously it ends up in Spider-Man's turf because it's New York, it's the city. He's trying to prove himself as an Avenger, and they tell him, Tony Stark tells him, yeah, we'll call you on the next mission when you need him. It's like a year down the line, and he's this kid that he looks up to the Avengers, he looks up to Tony Stark, and he wants to be like them. And Tony Stark tries to be like a mentor to him. And so he's got this awesome suit that Tony Stark has made for him. It's a really cool Spider-Man suit, because later on we see his suit that he made for himself, and it's awful. It's awful, but it's awesome that, unlike, that was what was ridiculous about the Tobey Maguire one. First he was in the thing of this teenager's in a sweatsuit, and then all of a sudden it turns into this perfectly designed outfit or whatever, and it makes sense that his outfit sucked, unlike the Tobey Maguire ones, and that this really neat suit was given to him by Stark. Okay, so we got the story, and they're in high school, and he's got, I forgot what his friend's name is, but he's got this fat friend who's like really funny and really cool. He's really the comic relief in the thing, and he finds out that early on that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and he wants to be his sidekick. He wants to be his chair, as he called him. Not a sidekick like Robin or something, but the person that sits there and, basically talks to him, walks him through, figures out, where on the map he is, helps him coordinate things. That's what he wants to be. He wants to be the chair. He wants to be the guy behind the mask, And so we have this thing, and there's normal high school things. His friend said, oh, Peter Parker knows Spider-Man, which he told him not to do it, so then he's finally invited to a party because this girl likes Spider-Man. And so what happens is he didn't want to show them Spider-Man, he just wanted to be a thing, and then he saw some fireworks light show thing, not really fireworks, but like somebody shoots some crazy weapon. So he goes, and this is, I love it because I always thought to myself of like, Spider-Man only really works in the big city. The web slinging stuff only works in the big city. And it's great because at this, what we see at this party, it's in the suburbs, so he finds out, and we find out that web swinging in the suburbs is not what it's cracked up to be. It doesn't work very well at all. Oh, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. It's like he got tired. Before that happened, there was a thing where he was trying to be a crime fighter. Oh, and this is actually how he first came in encounter with the weapons. Originally, okay, and as you can see, this is full of spoilers. It's just full of spoilers. For most of these, I'm gonna try to do a spoil-free review, and then maybe have a conversation with the spoilers. I was really excited about this, and I didn't want to do two different things, so I wanted to just go through it. Okay, so now that I'm going back and round with the story, I'm bad at this. I'm bad at getting the story straight. But okay, first he gets tired. Before that party, there's the scene where he starts trying to be Spider-Man, and he gets tired of waiting for the Avengers, and he's like, because they're never going to call him back. He keeps calling Happy, this guy they call Happy. Obviously, they call him Happy because he's grumpy as hell. But anyways, so he decides to go around. There's somebody steals a bike, and he wrestles the bike away from the person, but doesn't know who the bike belongs to, so he just leaves it there. It said, whoever this belongs to, I got it from the bad guy, blah, 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 Spider-Man. And then so he's on there, and then there's another thing where there's an alarm going off, and there's a guy trying to wedge something in the window, and Spider-Man goes to stop this crime, but it turns out it's the guy's own car, and so you have all these old people, come on, that's his own car, you're bad, blah, 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 and then we have our famous, what do they call it, I can't even think of the name, where, anyways, we have our little, scene with Stan Lee in it. Somebody's like, oh, you little punk, get out of here. That's his own car. You're causing problems. And he says hi to the neighbor and stuff. Stan Lee's cameo, that's what I'm looking for. Cameo. So that's where they put Stan Lee's little cameo, which is awesome. I love that. They put him in cameos and everything now. Okay, so that happened, and then things didn't go good. But he still gets on the phone, and he's trying to leave a message for Happy, and goes blah blah blah. And I did all these things, and it didn't quite work out. And then this nice lady over here gave me a churro, and blah blah blah. So, but then you see something happening in this bank. There's these people that have Avengers masks, and they go in there, and they have these like crazy weapons that they're cutting open the ATMs and stuff and taking the money. And so he goes and fights with them, and some of them get knocked over, and then there's this device that comes in that, like, the weapon, like, just starts, it gets knocked off or whatever, where it just slices a big chunk out of the bank and of the building on the corner, the bodega or whatever, this little shop that Peter Parker likes to go to. So he goes there, and he sees it's all falling down, and he goes and he finds the old guy living in the back that runs the shop and rescues him. Okay, so we have that, and then he doesn't do anything for a while, and then let's get back to where I was at with the party, where he runs into the guys with similar weapons, so he knows that they're selling the weapons. So that's the whole thing. So they get into this thing of who it is, and he finally finds out where this guy is. He tracks him down, and he realizes, hey, he's gonna be near DC, and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, who said he wasn't gonna go on the DC trip with basically they're like the science team, where they have the questions and they answer the questions and stuff. Well, he said he wasn't going to go, but then he decided that he wanted to go now that he knows where the bad guy is. Okay, so he ends up kind of foiling a robbery, and the trucks end up at this place where the government facility that is salvaging all the stuff goes to, and he gets stuck in there, and he finally finds a way to get himself out of there. And so now there's problems, because now the Vulture comes, and the Vulture comes to fight Spider-Man, and then he fights him, and something oh no, never mind, there wasn't a fight yet, that goes on later on. There was no fight with the Vulture in this area. This is the time his friend had part of it, something he had taken from the salvage place that had like a little glowing device in it, and what happened was he found out that it's can be an explosive, but it has to be triggered by radiation, and they're going to the, the Washington Monument. So they're going up there, and he has to put his bag through the checker, and it sends microwaves so they can see what's in your bags. So that begins the detonator, and it sets it off, and it blows up, and it hits something, and it cuts basically cuts a big chunk off of the elevator and cuts the cords and stuff. So he has to climb up there and try to break through this little window to get through them so he can save them. But then these cops come because he's in the airspace, and they're in a helicopter, and he has to deal with them. And he jumps over the helicopter, and he comes in, and he finally puts a web line on the helicopter and swings into that window and finally kicks it in, and he's able to save his friends, including the girlfriend. Well, she's not his girlfriend, but she'll be his date. Okay, so we have all that. And then, so later on, she knows that he's friends with Spider-Man, so he asks her out to the prom. Not prom, it's not the prom, it's the homecoming dance, because it's Spider-Man Homecoming, right? Okay, so he goes to pick her up to the dance, and he recognizes that her dad is Eugene Toomes. He's the bad guy. And at this point, the dad doesn't know him yet, but as he's taking him by, he starts to recognize the voice, and he recognizes things, and then he tells the daughter to go in, and that he wants to talk to Peter, and he's basically saying, okay, here's your chance. Go to the date with my daughter, give her a good time, but not too good of a time, and says, you have this chance to leave me alone, leave my business alone, don't mess with me, or I will hurt you, I will kill you, and I will kill everyone you love, and I will destroy your life, and I will kill you. Just leave me alone. And of course, Peter Parker, he's always got to be the hero, and he decides to run off, and at this point, I missed the whole fairy thing. Okay, there was this big part where he goes to, before the dance, there's a scene where they go to do a deal on the ferry, and this is a really cool scene because the ferry he's fighting with the people that are doing the deal, and one of the weapons slices the ferry in half, and Spider-Man's trying to pull it together and stick it together, and this is why. But before that, right when he was trying to do this thing, he was in the middle of the thing, Tony starts trying to talk to him, and he cuts Tony off, and then Tony comes, and the Spider-Man comes and welds the boat back together and saves it when Spider-Man was trying. So they get in a big argument, and he ends up taking the suit from Peter. Okay, so now this is when we end up seeing him in his crappy suit. My nose is itching. This is ruining the whole thing. Okay, let's not think about my itchy nose. Let's talk about the movie. Okay, so then it comes to the scene where he comes out of the dance, and he's in his crappy outfit that he had made himself. What's with the crappy outfit? Because the Shocker guy, yeah, we also meet Shocker. Well, there were two Shockers. The first Shocker, Eugene Toomes accidentally killed because he meant to use a levitation gun, and he disintegrated the guy. So he gives it to this black dude and said, "You're the Shocker now." So, okay, we got Vulture and Shocker already. Is this alluding to something that we've been waiting for? The fans have been waiting for since we've been waiting for the Sinister Six. Come on, please, within the next couple of movies, bring us the Sinister Six. We've been waiting for the Sinister Six since they did the first Tobey Maguire movie. There was even rumors, even in the Amazing Spider-Man, that they were going to do the Sinister Six. Come on, give us the Sinister Six. That would be the best Spider-Man movie ever. Well, anyways, let's not talk about that. Let's get back to the story, okay? So he's fighting them, and then he finds out what the Vulture's gonna do. He's gonna go after this plane because it's moving day, and they're moving everything from the old Avengers Tower, Stark Tower as they called it, and they're moving it to the new facility. And this is where everything. This is the climax of the story. The big battle where he's fighting him to try to keep him from getting the stuff from it, because he's going to take the stuff, weapons, or if not, make weapons out of them. And so we have this big, huge fight between him and Spider-Man, because first he doesn't notice that Spider-Man's towing behind him on a string. He caught him, so they get in this big fight in the plane, and eventually the plane comes down. And it goes to the guy's trying to kill it, so Eugene Toomes, the Vulture, is trying to kill Spider-Man, and then he realizes that he tries to run off with a big box, and Spider-Man's like, no, because he knows it's gonna blow. And in the end, like he always does, he goes and saves the life of this guy who was just ready to just basically murder him. Tired of him, just wanted to kill this kid to make him stop, but not Peter Parker. That's the whole thing, and that's what it's always going to be in the movie, in the comics, is that Peter Parker's a really good guy, a really good kid. And this is one thing I haven't brought up, is that Tom Holland was perfect for Spider-Man, because the thing is, like, Tobey Maguire was a good Spider-Man, but he was way too old to play a teenager in the first one. It was like 20-something, he's playing a teenager. Even the guy, Andrew Garfield was also, he looked closer, but he was still a little bit older. And this Tom Holland guy's actually a teenager. You actually believe that this is a 15-year-old boy. He's this kid, and he's a good kid, and he grows up to be a good man. And Peter Parker, if there's one thing Peter Parker isn't, is he's not a killer. In the original story, which we saw in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, as in the beginning, he does accidentally kill somebody. And he feels bad for it, but he's not a killer. He'll risk his own life to save the life of the villain that was just getting ready to murder him. Okay, and that's all things, and he ends up in prison, and it sucks because the girl he likes is now moving away, and she's already mad at him because he ditched her at the dance. But, man, this movie was just so good. I mean, I think it may have been one of the, not the best, maybe, I don't know, but one of the best Spider-Man movies they've done. And I don't care what people say. I love superhero movies. I think superhero movies are great. I'm glad they're bringing them to the big screen, because even though people try to say they're immature or whatever, and I got some friends that think that now, didn't fight 10 years ago, though. But anyways, there's nothing wrong with superheroes. Superheroes are great. There are gods. There are Greek gods. There are myths. There are Odyssey and the modern day Prometheus. They are the stories, the legends now. I mean, in stories like, oh, well, they're kind of this and that, and they wear suits. But we need legends. We've always needed legends, and we've gotten to the point that we realize the legends were just legends, but we still need our modern mythology, even if it's not something we believe to be real, but it's real to us, and it's something that, and I think the creations of Mr. Stan Lee are the best of the best, because I mean, there was always a message in Stan Lee's stuff. Stan Lee always gave us a message. He helped us grow up to be responsible people, to be good human beings. I mean, this guy wrote what he knew, and what he knew was, Stan Lee's everything I know about Stan Lee is just this altogether good guy that everybody just likes. He's just this ball of sunshine, you know? And he took comics. Sure, there were comics before we got the Spider-Man, the Superman and the Batman and all that, the Captain Americas and all that. But Stan Lee really put life into the comics. Nowadays, there's more realistic, more lifelike stuff that doesn't have superhero stuff. But when Stan Lee was doing the stuff he was doing was freaking state of the art. This was never been done before. No one thought to think of, let's make the characters real, with real problems, with real issues, let's make the Hulk basically Jekyll and Hyde, but the monster's not a total monster. The monster's a misunderstood monster. He's the first one. Let's have a character that's in high school, who's a kid, who's a teenager, and who has real issues and real problems and stuff that he's dealing with, and stuff that might not be real, that's just silly little kids, problems that kids have. But it was life. He breathed life into this art form that no one had breathed life into it like he did for a long time. Sure, comics have gone a long way, and there's plenty of comics to choose from that aren't anything even remotely close to superhero stuff, but I like the superheroes. I like the heroes. I think we always need our heroes. We always need our legends. We need something to look up to and to strive for. And yes, they're larger than life and they're more than what we can do. But we need to strive for it. Strive to be something, you know? And I know it's just movies and they're just comic books and it's a kiddie thing, but, you know, really, when I was growing up, before I discovered music, because I wasn't into music until, I was 16, but what I had in the beginning were the comic books, and they're just comic books, they're just superhero comic books, but those books, reading the comic books, reading the stories, going through they got me through a lot of hard times. They got me through things that could have, I think the comic books and then maybe the music saved my life, because, man, you hear nowadays kids going through bullying, all the stuff I went through, and, man, you got these kids that are like 10 years old killing themselves and stuff, and that could have been me, and, you know, it's just comic books, and it's just a comic book movie, but I really enjoyed it, and some things that might be silly or childish to someone, hey, okay, I'm not grown up, you don't want to be my friend anymore, that's fine. But there's some things in our childhood that we like, that we latch onto, and why should I have to not like what I like just because I'm older now? But anyways, blah, 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 getting too serious here. It's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. My girlfriend really enjoyed it. We had a great time. And if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry for spoiling the whole movie for you, but go out and see it. If you've seen it, see it again. It's awesome. Well, that's all. I'm out.